For the longer term, we have to improve the standards of our education.
The understanding of the importance of education underpins what is required in Nigeria as the citizens celebrate yet another Democracy Day since the military handover in 1999. It's even more imperative, especially with the 3 years of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led All Progressives Congress (APC) administration, which, among other indices of development, remains passionate about education right from inception.
Nigerians have shown their commitment to democracy and are determined to entrench its culture. Our journey has not been easy, but thanks to the determination of our people and strong support from friends abroad, we have today a truly democratically elected government in place. For the longer term, we have to improve the standards of our education. We have to look at the whole field of Medicare. We have to upgrade our dilapidated physical infrastructure.
The Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFUND, established as Education Tax Fund, ETF, by Act No. 7 of 1993, had its name changed to Education Trust Fund via the Act No. 40 of 1998 and in 2011. The law establishing the fund was amended by an Act of Parliament through Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Establishment Act No. 16. The Act refocused on the intervention scope of the fund to only public universities, polytechnics and colleges of education. In line with the Funding Father's objective to be a positive change agency for higher education in Nigeria, albeit university education. TETFUND success story under the Buhari administration showcases the support of the current administration towards returning Tertiary Education Trust Fund to what it was established for and taking the higher education institutions back to the desired enviable position.
The management introduced Project Defense, and Project Defense is geared towards helping the institution to be able to articulate its priorities, not just sitting down somewhere in Owerri and writing some fictitious projects, projects that will not have a bearing to the mandate of the institution or training or accreditation. In this way, the management of Imo State Polytechnic and others is forced to work with the unions, the student bodies, and all the experts and the stakeholders connected with this in order to identify the priorities of the institution. And that is what we have done. In 2016, even though the money was raised more than twice what it used to be, we were able to defend the key projects. And I'm happy to announce to you that we have completed all those projects and they are all labeled.
So, in fact, I would say that TETFUND has really added value to the educational system in Nigeria, particularly in this our institution. And when it comes to our institution here, we have been able to assess all these interventions and then utilize them effectively. So if you take a look, move around, you'll be able to see a good number of the structures we have on ground. They are TETFUND interventions, either normal intervention or special intervention, high impact, and some of them are special interventions. So in the area of equipment, vehicles, we have benefited so much from TETFUND.
So, Kaduna State University is a TETFUND university, really, because virtually every structure you see has a touch of TETFUND. Either directly or indirectly. By direct, I mean outright, outright development right from the scratch. And sometimes even old structures are being renovated, So we are really a TETFUND university. The fund has touched virtually every aspect of our, structures, training of staff, both academic and conferences, and a lot more.
The story of what TETFUND has been doing is sweet to the ears, but like every good thing that does not come easy, so it was with the coming on board of Dr. Abdullahi Bichi Baffa as Executive Secretary following his appointment by President Muhammadu Buhari.
By the glory of God Almighty, we thank Him most sincerely. We thank Him most sincerely for granting us the opportunity to be able to get on with this job, set the ball rolling, and we were able to, with a reason, clear bulk of the mess. We were able to, with a reason, change the perception of the general public, the perception of the stakeholders about Tertiary Education Trust Fund. We were able to, with a reason, improve, at the risk of sounding immodest, improve tremendously the quality of administration and the quality of governance at Tertiary Education Trust Fund. We were able to improve the quality of delivery of the frontline services that this agency is mandated to provide.
Just like the decision of President Buhari to fight corruption to a standstill, Dr. Abdullahi Bichi Baffa took up the fight, and this he has been able to take to all the benefiting public tertiary education institutions across the country.
The ES Executive Secretary of TETFUND, he is doing the right thing. And that's what the president is talking about. He's not deviating. The only thing, if somebody becomes too principled, initially people were seeing it like that. But after that access clinic, I want to tell you, it made a great impact. People knew where he was heading to. If there's anything holding your school, let me know. That was when they loosened up and they saw that these people are really out to achieve something, to kill down if there's anything that is not good, that they are ready to do anything.
You have to come and justify, and they will grill you and be sure that what the funds they are providing will be used properly. And I think that's a very good innovation he has introduced, and I hope he will sustain it. Whatever the pressure is, please let him sustain that. We are ready to depend on projects. As I said, we have the demand more for renovation, and we are ready to go forward to defend it. But I think on the overall, it's a very transparent way of disbursement, and I think the new ES, I don't want to call him new, the current ES should please sustain it.
The Buhari administration has provided that leadership because you want to have somewhere somebody to look up to. If the top is rotten, obviously you will be looking up to a rotten model, and you will also, even if you are not rotten, you will not really pay heed to doing the right things. But when the top is strong, is qualitative, is up and doing, you have no option then to key in with the right guidance, with the right mentoring, with the right coaching, with the right supervision. You will be able to. So I must say that yes, we are enjoying the mentoring, the supervision, the right examples being set by the president, being set by our minister, and we are setting the same set of examples to our staff here at the fund, and we are really working as a family, as a very strong and effective team.
As a result of this, Nigerians are enjoying the dividends of democracy not only through the provision of infrastructure for teaching and learning, but economic activities picking up around the country where TETFUND project sites have turned out to provide employment circle for rural communities and its dwellers.
TETFUND has really helped immensely. You can see workers at the site. Apart from the infrastructural development of the institutions, you also provide employment opportunities because you could see people selling grower, canoe, pure water, and laborers who at the end of the day take home to help their families. So TETFUND has really touched in all areas of human endeavors.
As you can see right behind me, this is a TETFUND project, which it has to be a storage deck comprised of classrooms and offices. Actually, we appreciated the effort of the TETFUND in the dispensation of President Muhammadu Buhari. It has been so very, very commendably, and we appreciate that. More especially, the community has been benefiting drastically in this project because it improves their standard of living. People come there in, day out. As you can see, the project, it enhances and takes at least 250 people daily, which at least when they come, they take something home.
Yes, as good as this sounds, it is pertinent to note that aside supporting tertiary educational institutions with essential physical infrastructure for teaching and learning, TETFUND also intervenes in areas such as instructional materials and equipment, grants for research and publication, conference attendance and academic staff training and development. Here are testimonies of some staff of tertiary education institutions who say without TETFUND scholarship, the story would have been different.
I've benefited from TETFUND twice, and that was in respect of conference attendance. The first one was Lusaka, attended a conference at Lusaka. And in fact, that it was there I enriched my knowledge of research methodology because it bordered on research methodology. Then the next one was in UK, Imperial College London, where I presented a paper on global warming. And it was quite an interesting outing because I even saw some of those writers whose books were used in teaching us in our school days.
The sponsorship I got from TETFUND to read my PhD in mathematics education at ABU Zaria, which is a very good intervention that gave me the ability to pay my school fees, to do my research with ease, without any difficulty. So it's a very good experience with TETFUND.
Also, as individual lecturers, we've had sponsorship in terms of training. I'll use myself as an example. It was through the TETFUND sponsorship that I was able to do my master's. It was equally through the TETFUND sponsorship that I was able to get funding for the publication of my book. And right now I'm also processing my doctoral sponsorship from TETFUND. So I think it's a fantastic thing the government is doing through TETFUND.
TETFUND is a holistic policy program that is packaged for total development of infrastructure and human resources in higher institutions. I benefited from the program, and I attended a workshop in UX, Drexel University in Philadelphia, where we worked on the issue of leadership in the institution that has to do with head of departments, deans, and directors at various levels. The most important thing I found out in that program was the way the foreign institutions work in UX. They always have a relationship link between the student, the lecturers, and the society. So it's just like a triangular relationship.
I benefited from TETFUND sponsorship. I attended a conference in Dubai on the use of ICT and management of higher institutions in Nigeria. We were about 5 that represent Kaduna Polytechnic in the conference. We met with other colleagues from other universities and polytechnics and other from Nigeria and other countries. So it helped us a lot in the use of ICT and management of higher institutions, more especially when we discovered that higher institutions nowadays in Nigeria are confronted with some administrative problems due to the increase of number of students and the number of staff. So the use of ICT, it makes administration easier so as to solve some problems that is peculiar to administrative issues.
It is no longer hidden that despite the harsh economic reality, education is and remains at the forefront of the agenda of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. The President is optimistic that Nigeria will achieve its full potentials within a short period, and that this will become possible with the kind and quality of products coming out of Nigerian public tertiary institutions, with prioritized development in the tertiary education sector through adequate and effective funding. Pursuant to that priority accorded the education sector, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund takes the presidential directive as a marching order.
The fight against corruption, the fight against impunity in administration and in governance is the fulcrum upon which we build everything that we are doing. Because we as a service agency, as an intervention agency, we know that value for money, protecting the public interest and ensuring value for money for all our investment is the number one thing. And knowing the history of the place before we came on board, knowing the history of TETFUND, the recent history of TETFUND before the coming of the Buhari administration, it goes without saying that the number one thing that we will have to do is to fight corruption, to fight fraud, to fight incompetence, to fight insincerity, and to be able to reset the operations of the agency. So really, I must say that we have taken the anti-corruption drive of the Buhari administration as the number one priority as far as our operations are concerned.
The trend for allocations to benefiting institutions from 2016 to 2017 indicates a significant improvement in funding. It is very encouraging that the intervention by TETFUND under President Muhammadu Buhari's administration for year 2016 is the highest in the history of the fund. This is just a tip of the iceberg as far as TETFUND support tertiary education institutions in Nigeria is concerned. The website of the agency at www.tetfund.gov.ng boasts of more statistics of what the agency is doing in the areas of academic staff training and development, conference attendance, special high-impact intervention, research and publications, teaching practice, entrepreneurial development centers, fabrication, workshops, library development, among others. All these would not have been possible without the needed support.
Working under Buhari administration, yes, very high expectation from our principals, very high expectation from the beneficiary institutions, very high expectation from the general public. But why it is very interesting and very rewarding is, if you will go by the books, if you follow the law, if you abide by the regulation, by the guidelines, then you will not offend anyone, and you will be achieving, you will be succeeding. If you are cooperating, you have the right team, and you are cooperating and collaborating with the team, you are delegating responsibilities, and you are following up on feedbacks, you will be able to succeed, you will be able to achieve. And let me say that there were all sorts of things about TETFUND Start before I came. But when I came, I met a very incredibly talented set of men and women at the agency who were really very willing to work, very willing to deliver, very willing to grow across the ladder, along the ladder, who were really determined to succeed, but who were looking for leadership. And I must say that the Buhari administration has provided that leadership, because you want to have somewhere somebody to look up to. If the top is rotten, obviously you will be looking up to a rotten model, and you will also, even if you are not rotten, you will not really pay heed to doing the right things. But when the top is strong, is qualitative, is up and doing, you have no option then to key in with the right guidance, with the right mentoring, with the right coaching, with the right supervision. You will be able to. So I must say that, yes, we are enjoying the mentoring, the supervision, the right examples being set by the president, being set by our minister, and we are setting the same set of examples to our staff here at the fund, and we are really working as a family, as a very strong and effective team.
He will be the president. Please, standing ovation for possibly Nigeria.
As we celebrate another Democracy Day, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund is committed to its role towards restoration, rehabilitation, and revamping of Nigerian tertiary education institutions. TETFUND, fulfilling its resolve to positively change the landscape of Nigeria's public tertiary education institutions.